From the good wife to the good fight, how Marissa Gold's IDF narrative glamorizes militarism and fuels ethical complicity. The character Marissa Gold, portrayed by Sarah Steele in The Good Wife, 2011 to 2016, and its spin-off, The Good Fight, 2017 to 2022, has sparked controversy for her fictionalized ties to the Israel Defense Forces, IDF. The show's narrative frames Marissa's IDF service as a formative experience that shapes her assertiveness and moral compass, a choice that critics argue whitewashes the geopolitical realities of the Israeli military's actions and tacitly endorses recruitment. Here, we dissect the ethical implications of this characterization and its broader cultural impact. 1. Marissa Gold's IDF backstory, glorification or propaganda. In The Good Fight, Marissa's backstory includes a multi-year stint in the IDF, where she claims to have carried a weapon, eaten falafel, and guarded the Egyptian border. The series uses this arc to position her as a self-assured, morally complex character, framing her military service as a quirky yet empowering rite of passage. This portrayal has drawn criticism for sanitizing the IDF's role in occupied territories and conflating Israeli militarism with personal growth. The show's creators, Robert and Michelle King, have a history of weaving political commentary into their work. However, Marissa's IDF narrative lacks critical context, reducing a contentious geopolitical issue to a character quirk. By romanticizing her service, depicting it as a source of chutzpah and resilience, the show risks normalizing the IDF's image among international audiences, particularly young viewers. 2. Sarah Steele's role and the irony of cultural appropriation. Sarah Steele, a non-Jewish actress, has acknowledged the disconnect between her identity and Marissa's Jewish, pro-Israel persona. During a visit to Israel, Steele admitted feeling guilty for not understanding the cultural weight of her character's IDF ties earlier, despite the role's popularity. Critics argue that casting a non-Jewish actor to play a character whose identity is deeply tied to Zionism and military service perpetuates a form of cultural appropriation, wherein the realities of Israeli occupation are repackaged as palatable entertainment. Steele's performance has been praised for its authenticity, but the ethical dilemma remains: does her portrayal inadvertently legitimize the IDF's actions by humanizing a fictional advocate of its policies? The show's decision to avoid nuanced criticism of the IDF, even as it tackles other political issues like #MeToo and Trump-era corruption, suggests a selective approach to activism. 3. Boycott calls and the broader cultural reckoning. Calls to boycott Sarah Steele and The Good Wife Fight franchise stem from accusations that the show's IDF narrative serves as propaganda. Detractors argue that by depicting Marissa's service uncritically, the series contributes to a media landscape that obscures the humanitarian crises linked to the Israeli military, including allegations of apartheid and violence against Palestinians. The controversy parallels broader debates about ART's role in geopolitical conflicts. For instance, a pivotal scene in The Good Fight juxtaposes Marissa reciting a Hebrew prayer with chants of "Jews will not replace us" by far-right protesters, framing her Jewish identity as both vulnerable and defiant. While this moment critiques anti-Semitism, it sidesteps accountability for the IDF's actions, leaving the narrative ethically lopsided. 4. Creative responsibility versus artistic freedom. Defenders of the show argue that Marissa's character reflects the complexity of modern identity politics. However, the lack of counter-narratives, such as Palestinian perspectives or critiques of militarism, undermines this defense. The King's decision to avoid thorny discussions about the IDF's conduct while leveraging Marissa's service for character development raises questions about creative responsibility. Sarah Steele has acknowledged critiques from her left-wing peers, who urged the show to address the sobering realities of IDF service. Yet, The Good Fight opts for ambiguity, leaving Marissa's political stance unresolved. This ambiguity allows the show to avoid alienating pro-Israel audiences while paying lip service to progressivism, a balancing act that critics deem opportunistic. Entertainment as a battleground. The debate over Marissa Gold's IDF ties underscores a larger tension. Can fictional narratives address geopolitical conflicts without perpetuating harm? While The Good Fight positions itself as a politically bold series, its handling of Marissa's character reveals a reluctance to engage with the full scope of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For boycott advocates, this omission is not just artistic license but complicity in normalization. Whether Sarah Steele or the show's creators bear responsibility for this portrayal depends on one's view of ART's societal role. However, the controversy highlights a demand for media to approach sensitive topics with rigor, or risk becoming a tool of soft power in entrenched conflicts.